Welcome, gents. Power is not about control. It's about being so self-sufficient that control becomes irrelevant. Sigma males don't set out to be intimidating. They don't walk into a room trying to dominate, impress, or seek approval. But somehow, without even trying, they unsettle people. Not because they're aggressive, not because they're loud, but because they exist outside the script. Most people follow predictable patterns, seeking validation, reacting emotionally, fearing solitude. Sigma males don't. They move through life on their own terms, detached from social expectations, immune to manipulation, and comfortable in their own silence. This isn't rebellion, it's just who they are. And that in itself is frightening to those who rely on control, influence, and predictable behavior to navigate the world. The unsettling truth: you might not even realize the impact you have. You sit in a room and people start confessing things they never intended to say. You walk away from a situation without looking back, and others are left wondering what they did wrong. You remain calm in chaos, and suddenly people aren't sure whether to respect you or fear what you're planning. But here's the thing: you don't owe anyone an explanation. Your power isn't in being understood, it's in being unshakable. So if you've ever wondered why people react to you the way they do, watch this video. You'll see why your mere existence shifts the energy in a room, whether you realize it or not. Number 1, stay calm in situations that should break them. Most people crack under pressure. They panic, overreact, lash out, or crumble, but you go still. Where others lose control, you become eerily composed. No emotional outbursts, no frantic decision-making, just silence. A quiet, calculating presence that unsettles everyone around you. It doesn't matter if it's betrayal, financial ruin, or an emotional war zone. You don't flinch. You absorb the situation, process the damage, and start thinking 5 moves ahead while everyone else is still spiraling. And that's exactly what unnerves people the most. They expect a reaction: anger, fear, desperation, something. But when all they get is that unreadable calm, it shakes them to their core. Because silence is power. And whether they admit it or not, people fear what they can't predict. When they see someone handle chaos without breaking, their mind starts racing. What is he thinking? What is he planning? They don't know. And that uncertainty, it terrifies them. This isn't something you do on purpose. It's just how you're wired. You've learned that panic solves nothing, that emotional outbursts make you vulnerable, and that clarity only comes when the mind is steady. So while others react, you observe. While they collapse, you strategize, and by the time they realize what's happening, you're already 3 steps ahead, turning the situation to your advantage. Some people mistake this for coldness, but it's not. It's control. And in a world where most people are slaves to their emotions, that makes you dangerous. Number 2, they never reveal their full intentions. What you say and what you're actually planning, 2 completely different things. Sigma males don't lay all their cards on the table. They operate on multiple layers, always thinking several steps ahead while only revealing what's necessary. Not because they enjoy being secretive, but because they understand a brutal truth. The more people know about your plans, the easier it is for them to interfere. This unpredictability makes you impossible to control. Others move in straight lines. You move in patterns no one can trace. People think they know what you're up to, but by the time they react, you've already shifted directions. You say just enough to keep them satisfied, never exposing the full picture until it's too late to stop you. This is why people find you so frustrating. They're used to dealing with those who overshare, who need validation, who broadcast their next move for everyone to see. But you leave them guessing, and nothing makes a person more uneasy than not knowing. It's not deception, it's strategy. You understand that not everyone should have access to your real motives. Some will try to use your plans against you, others will inject doubt, and a few will attempt to take credit for your ideas. So you keep things on a need-to-know basis. You let people assume what they want, watching as they make the mistake of underestimating you. And then when you finally execute your plan, smoothly, precisely, without hesitation, they realize the truth. You were never playing by their rules to begin with. Number 3, they are the last person you want as an enemy. Most people handle conflict in predictable ways. Some explode in anger, making a scene. Others seek immediate revenge, letting emotions dictate their response. But a Sigma male, he does neither. If you cross him, you won't see a meltdown, you won't hear threats. In fact, you might think he's letting it slide. That's your first mistake. A Sigma male doesn't react, he calculates. He studies the situation, steps back and observes. He won't waste energy on petty drama or emotional outbursts. Instead, he'll wait. And when the time is right, he'll respond in a way that ensures you never make the same mistake again. This isn't about being vengeful, it's about balance. Sigma males don't seek conflict, but they also don't tolerate disrespect. They believe in cause and effect. If you create chaos in their life, expect it to return to you. And unlike impulsive people who lash out and regret it later, a Sigma's response is precise. It's not loud, it's not messy, it's simply effective. What makes them truly unsettling as an enemy is their patience. They don't rush revenge. They wait until the perfect moment, when you least expect it, when you're most vulnerable, when the lesson will stick. And by the time you realize what's happening, it's already too late. So if you ever find yourself on the wrong side of a Sigma male, don't expect a war, expect a reckoning, and trust me, you won't see it coming. Number 4, they can disappear without a trace. One day they're there, engaging, responding, existing in your world. The next, gone. No warnings, no explanations, no drawn-out goodbyes. Just an empty space where they used to be. Sigma males don't believe in unnecessary attachments. And when they decide something no longer serves them, whether it's a job, a place, or even a person, they disengage completely. Not in anger, not for attention, just with quiet certainty, like flipping a switch. One moment they exist in your reality. The next it's as if they were never there at all. This can be unsettling for those left behind. Most people expect closure, some kind of finality, but Sigma males don't operate on traditional emotional scripts. They don't feel the need to explain themselves or seek permission to leave. If something feels wrong, if a situation drains them, if a connection starts feeling artificial, they walk away and they don't look back. What's even more disturbing, how effortlessly they do it. While others agonize over endings, Sigma males have already detached long before they physically leave. Their presence starts fading. Fewer messages, shorter conversations, less emotional investment, until one day they just disappear. No mess, no drama, just gone. And that's why they leave such a lasting impact. People don't realize how much space they took up until it's suddenly empty. Their absence lingers, raising questions that will never be answered. Did they ever really care? Did they ever fully belong? Were they even real? The truth? They were. But Sigma males don't waste time proving their existence. If they choose to be in your world, it's because they want to be. And if they leave, it means they already made peace with disappearing, without a trace, without regret, and without a single word of explanation. Number 5, they create their own morality. Most people inherit their sense of right and wrong from society. They follow the rules because that's what everyone else does. But Sigma males, they don't play that game. They don't just accept morality as it's handed to them. Instead, they build their own piece by piece based on what actually makes sense, not what they're told to believe. This makes them unpredictable. They're not lawless, but they won't blindly follow rules that contradict their logic. If something is wrong but doesn't violate their principles, they won't feel guilt about doing it. If something is right but seems hollow or hypocritical, they won't hesitate to reject it. To the outside world, this can be unsettling. Society expects compliance, but Sigma males only obey their own inner compass. And that's what makes them powerful. They aren't shackled by guilt-tripping or social pressure. You can't manipulate them with shame or obligation because they've already questioned those concepts and decided for themselves what they stand for. This level of self-governance makes them immune to the tricks that control most people. If they choose to help, it's because they want to, not because someone told them they should. But here's the catch. This doesn't mean they're reckless or immoral. In fact, many Sigma males have stronger ethics than those who just go with the flow. The difference is their morality is earned, not inherited. They don't follow the crowd, they follow truth. And sometimes that truth doesn't align with what society wants. This is why they often find themselves at odds with the world. They won't conform for the sake of comfort. They won't obey just to fit in. They do what makes sense, not what makes others comfortable. And that's what makes them both respected and feared. Because a man who creates his own morality, he answers to no one but himself. Number 6, they remember details others forget. Most people let conversations fade into the background. They forget small details, overlook inconsistencies, and miss the subtle shifts in someone's tone or body language, but not Sigma males. Their mind is like an archive, subconsciously storing every word, every expression, every hesitation. They don't force themselves to remember. It just happens. And that's what makes them so unsettling. They're the type to recall a minor comment you made months ago, something you barely remember saying. They'll notice when your story doesn't match up, when your emotions don't align with your words, when your smile flickers for just a second too long. And they won't call it out right away. No, they'll just file it away. Because Sigma males don't react impulsively. They collect data, analyze patterns, and wait for the perfect moment to reveal what they know. This makes them impossible to deceive. When someone tries to manipulate them, they don't argue or get defensive. Instead, they simply bring up a past detail, a contradiction the other person didn't even realize they left behind. Suddenly, the liar finds themselves trapped, exposed, and unsure of how it even happened. Sigma males don't need aggression to dismantle deception. They just remember, and that alone is enough. But it's not just about catching lies. This ability makes them deeply perceptive in every aspect of life. They remember what people care about, what makes them tick, what their true intentions are. Even when those intentions aren't spoken, it's why they always seem one step ahead. Others think they have secrets, but a Sigma male already knows. It's not magic, it's not manipulation, it's just observation on another level. And that's why people respect them, fear them, and sometimes desperately wish they could forget what they know. Number 7, they don't crave power, but they always have it. Unlike the stereotypical alpha who shouts for control, Sigma males never set out to rule. In fact, power isn't something they actively chase. Instead, they naturally end up in positions of influence simply by being true to themselves. Their independence isn't a statement, it's a way of life. They don't need to boss people around or prove their worth in the traditional sense. Their actions, thoughts, and decisions speak louder than any declaration of dominance ever could. Because Sigma males value their freedom, they carve their own path without seeking validation from others. They're more interested in exploring ideas and mastering their craft than climbing a ladder of social hierarchy. It's this detachment from the usual need for approval that gives them an edge. People often underestimate them because they don't announce their power or flaunt it. Yet time and again they find themselves in roles where others look to them for guidance, often without even realizing it. This quiet confidence comes from knowing who they are and trusting their own instincts. Their ability to read people and situations means they can adapt effortlessly, making calculated moves that naturally elevate their status. While others compete openly for leadership, Sigma males operate behind the scenes, influencing outcomes with subtlety and precision. Their power isn't loud, it's a steady undercurrent that shapes decisions and steers events without fanfare. In every conversation, every decision, and every silent observation, they exude an assurance that makes people take notice. They don't need to assert their power because it's woven into their very essence. And that is what makes them so compelling. They prove that true power isn't about shouting the loudest or dominating the room. It's about knowing your worth, acting with conviction, and letting your presence speak for itself. So, if you ever wonder why people gravitate towards those who seem effortlessly in control, look no further than the Sigma male. His power isn't craved. It's simply inherent. And that quiet, unassuming strength, it's something everyone should aspire to. Number 8, they remain unmoved by emotional outbursts. Most people crack under emotional pressure. They see anger, tears, or guilt tripping and immediately feel the need to respond, to comfort, to fix. But not you. Sigma males process emotions like data, observing, analyzing, but never reacting the way others expect. And that makes people nervous. When someone yells, cries, or throws a tantrum, they're used to getting a response. They expect defensiveness, guilt, or an emotional reaction they can manipulate. But when you stay calm, unmoved, they don't know what to do. Their usual tactics fall flat. Suddenly they feel powerless because they realize something unsettling. They can't control you. You're not cold or heartless. You feel things deeply, maybe even more than most. But you refuse to be a puppet to someone else's emotional storm. You've learned that reacting emotionally makes you vulnerable, that it clouds judgment and puts control in someone else's hands. Instead of getting dragged into the chaos, you observe, you watch how people try to push your buttons, how they test your limits, how they use emotions as a weapon, and then you don't give them what they want. This isn't just about handling manipulation. It's about control of yourself, of the situation, of the outcome. You choose when to engage and when to walk away. You don't let temporary emotions dictate permanent decisions, and that's why people either respect you or fear you, because nothing is more unsettling than someone who cannot be emotionally controlled. Number 9, decode people like an algorithm. Most people experience relationships, you analyze them, while others take words at face value. You see them as nothing more than data points, clues in a larger puzzle that reveal who someone really is. The way their tone shifts when they lie, the half-second hesitation before answering, the forced smile that doesn't quite reach their eyes. You pick up on all of it without even trying. This isn't some skill you studied. It's not a party trick you perform. It's just how your brain works. You absorb details most people miss, breaking down patterns in behavior like an algorithm processing raw data. You don't just listen to what someone says, you analyze how they say it, when they say it, and whether it matches everything else you've observed. And if it doesn't, your mind starts connecting the dots, detecting contradictions, predicting their next move before they've even thought of it themselves. The unsettling part, you're not even trying to do this. It happens automatically. A person can be telling you the most heartfelt story, and part of your brain is already scanning for inconsistencies, reading between the lines and deciding whether their emotions are real or just a well-crafted performance. Most people don't realize they're being analyzed in real time, but they feel it. They sense that they can't fake their way through a conversation with you. That's why some people are drawn to you, fascinated by the way you seem to just know things. Others, they get uncomfortable, avoiding eye contact, getting defensive, because deep down they realize you see them. And that's where your power lies. You don't just interact with people, you decode them. You break through their masks, see their true nature, and without a single word, make them wonder if they've ever really been understood or just exposed. Number 10, make others feel unintentionally exposed. There's something about you that makes people talk. Not just about the weather or their weekend plans, no, they go deep. They start revealing things they didn't plan to share. Their regrets, their insecurities, their past mistakes, stuff they usually keep locked up. And the craziest part, you didn't even ask. You just sat there listening, barely saying a word. No interruptions, no forced reactions, just silence. And that silence, it's powerful. It pulls the truth out of people without them even realizing it. Because most people are used to filling empty space with words. They ramble, they confess, they overshare, just to avoid the discomfort of your unreadable presence. And then, after they've spilled their guts, after they've handed you the most personal parts of themselves, they look at you and realize they know nothing about you. That's when the discomfort sets in. They replay the conversation in their head, trying to figure out how they ended up being so vulnerable. They might even feel a little exposed, like they just undressed their soul in front of someone who never even took off their jacket. And the worst part, you weren't trying to make them feel that way. You weren't prying, you weren't fishing for information. You were just there. And somehow that was enough. This is why people either feel deeply connected to you or deeply unsettled by you. They can sense that you see through them, even when you say nothing. They walk away feeling lighter, yet oddly uneasy. Because in a world where people hide behind small talk and fake smiles, meeting someone who doesn't play that game forces them to confront parts of themselves they weren't ready to face. And that's what makes you unforgettable. Number 11. They are comfortable in the abyss. Most people fear the unknown. They panic in isolation, avoid deep introspection, and cling to external validation just to feel secure. But Sigma males, they don't just survive in the abyss. They thrive in it. Unlike the average person who seeks comfort in distractions, Sigma males are at ease in silence, solitude, and even chaos. They don't need constant reassurance from the outside world to know who they are. Their sense of identity isn't built on approval, social status, or fleeting trends. Instead, it's forged in the depths of their own mind, where most people are too afraid to go. This ability makes them immune to control tactics that work on others. Guilt tripping doesn't land. Peer pressure, irrelevant. Fear-based manipulation, laughable. Sigma males operate on an entirely different level because they don't rely on external factors for stability. If you strip away their money, their status, their connections, it wouldn't break them. They'd simply adapt, rebuild, and keep moving forward. But what unsettles people the most is how calm they remain in situations that would unravel others. Whether facing betrayal, financial ruin, or complete isolation, they don't panic, they think. While others crumble under the weight of uncertainty, Sigma males lean into it. They understand that darkness is just another environment, one that reveals who truly has control over themselves and who doesn't. This level of mental resilience is rare, and that's why it intimidates people. Most are uncomfortable with the unknown. Sigma males, they shake hands with it. The unseen power of the Sigma male. If you've made it this far, you've probably realized something. Sigma males don't try to be intimidating. They don't set out to unsettle people. They simply move through life on their own terms, guided by an internal logic that doesn't always match what society expects. But here's the real truth. What others find frightening about Sigma males is actually what makes them free. The ability to detach emotionally, to walk away without hesitation, to see through manipulation, to remain unfazed under pressure. These aren't weaknesses. They're strengths. And in a world that constantly demands obedience, vulnerability, and conformity, those strengths can make others uncomfortable. Some will call you cold. Others will say you're unpredictable, difficult to understand, even dangerous. Let them. You weren't built to fit neatly into their expectations. But here's your reminder. Just because you don't follow the crowd doesn't mean you're lost. Just because you move differently doesn't mean you're broken. And just because people fear what they don't understand doesn't mean you need to change. Your path is your own. Walk it unapologetically. The world isn't meant to understand you, but that was never your goal anyway. Thank you for watching, gents, and God bless you.